Should Trinidad Chambliss or John Mateer have declared for the NFL draft? Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Shout out to our everydayers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. And today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use our code LOCKEDONCollege, get $20 off your first purchase. All right, yesterday was the deadline to declare for the 2026 NFL Draft, and there were not really any surprise announcements, particularly from the SEC. But there was one somewhat surprising announcement out of the Big Ten, and that was Oregon quarterback Dante Moore making an announcement on ESPN Wednesday afternoon that he was not heading to the NFL Draft this spring, where he was projected to be one of the top picks in the 2026 NFL Draft. Most mock drafts had him penciled in as the #2 overall pick in the first round. ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter posted on his social media after the announcement saying, Moore's decision is expected to have, quote, significant ramifications on the draft. He said, in other words, be prepared for a massive trickle-down effect with Moore remaining in college instead of going pro. And so to bring this back to the SEC, I couldn't help but think this could have been a great opportunity for a guy like Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss or even John Mateer to perhaps consider the jump to the next level. Now, Chambliss makes the most sense. He's still waiting to find out if he's even going to get another year to play at Ole Miss. And that is not guaranteed as of now. Indiana's Fernando Mendoza, he is projected to be the #1 overall pick in the draft. And after that, it gets sticky. You had Alabama's Ty Simpson. He very well might be the #2 overall quarterback right now on, the draft boards. We told you earlier this week, Simpson made firm decision that he was going pro. There were rumblings that some college programs might be offering him anywhere from $4 to $6 million to come play for one more year of college. And, I kept looking at it going, wait a minute, what am I missing here? This is not a deep quarterback draft class. Like Ty Simpson, you got to go jump to the draft. You're at least a lock to be one of the top 5 quarterbacks taken. Now, where does that go? Is that, middle of the first, back end of the first, second round, whatever? Well, now that Dante Moore's out of the picture, Ty Simpson could go, top 10 now when you consider that, and we're just kind of projecting this out. I'm a big NFL fan. I understand if you're a Locked On SEC subscriber, you may just be a college football fan, not pay attention to the draft, but it kind of hypothetically looks like the the Las Vegas Raiders could take Fernando Mendoza with the #1 pick. And then when you get down to the New York Jets who need a quarterback, is that maybe Ty Simpson territory now? But I couldn't help but think, based off the season he just had and the performance he had in those playoff games, is Trinidad Chambliss making a mistake here? Like, is he a better prospect than Ty Simpson? And could he potentially have been a first-round pick in this year's draft? Now, it's not all over yet. I'll get to that in a minute as far as it goes to Trinidad Chambliss. But Mel Kiper at ESPN put out his big board of prospects yesterday. And this is updated. This is updated as of Wednesday with the news that Dante Moore is sticking around for another year at Oregon. He's got Fernando Mendoza #1. He's got Ty Simpson #2. He's got Trinidad Chambliss as his 3rd quarterback on the big board. Now, you hash through the rest of this. He's got Drew Aller at #4, Carson Beck at #5, John Mateer at #6. John Mateer did not declare for the draft yesterday, and he's coming off his junior season. So John Mateer not draft eligible, at least according to our understanding, and he didn't declare. So now he didn't do the whole grandiose announcement on social media. I'm definitely coming back to Oklahoma next year, but then again, neither did Gunnar Stockton at Georgia. So talked to a few people at Oklahoma last night. They said, yeah, Mateer's coming back. It's understood. So just found that funny that Mel Kiper's got Mateer on the board. Was he maybe expecting Mateer to make an announcement on Wednesday? Either way, I would take him off this board. I don't think he's not draft eligible. He didn't declare for the draft. Garrett Nussmeyer's got #7 from LSU. Diego Pavia, #8 Vanderbilt. I mean, that's how, look, no offense against Diego, but that's how thin this quarterback group is for the NFL draft in 2026. Diego Pavia is the 8th best prospect, according to Mel Kiper. How about Taylor Green at Arkansas? He's got 9th. I don't think Taylon Green's an NFL quarterback, but he's ninth on this board. And then he's got Sawyer Robertson out of Baylor at number 10. A few other quarterbacks that didn't make his list that are eligible: Cade Klubnik of Clemson and Luke Altmaier over at Illinois. Of course, started his career at Ole Miss. So my question became, should Trinidad have just said, you know what, the hell with the extra year at Ole Miss, I think you just go to the draft, particularly with the Dante Moore news. Like, I think Trinidad Chambliss, at least based off what we've been reading from a lot of folks, they think he's a first-round pick. And so, you know, look, if he had declared and decided to go to the combine and pro day and all that, I think he would have wowed. And I think he could have really had a good chance to solidify himself as the number 2 quarterback in this draft. Yahoo Sports' Jay Robbins, he gave Chambliss a round 2 grade as of a few days ago. But Chambliss, he wants to play for Ole Miss. And his eligibility waiver, of course, was denied a few days ago by the NCAA. Ole Miss is planning to appeal, and his attorneys say they will sue the NCAA. I reached out to a scout I know, and I said, yeah, he said he thought, yeah, the NFL, Roger Goodell, you know, if a case like this, like if he was denied and doesn't get that extra year of eligibility, would he get an exemption to join the draft? This guy said, he reached out to a few people. He said, no exemption is needed. He is draft eligible. And I had to look that up. If you're a college senior who's basically used up your eligibility, you are automatically eligible for the draft. If you're a senior who wants to return to school for another year, you're supposed to write a written declaration to the NFL by the deadline to say, do not consider me for the NFL draft. But again, for underclassmen, juniors or younger, and that's John Mateer, declaring for the draft requires the formal application in the NFL approval. So long story short, Trinidad's going to ride this thing out, and basically Ole Miss has until the NFL draft in April to figure out, is he going to get another year of eligibility? So they got a little window, at least from what we understand. And if he doesn't get it, Trinidad can go, hey, okay, NFL, I'm in the draft. You know, I don't know if he has to make an official announcement or whatever, because this was the deadline yesterday. But again, the one thing that could change things for Chambliss is if that waiver does get accepted by the NCAA, he would return to Ole Miss in that case, likely vaunting himself up to be, you know, a lock for a potential first-round pick next year. Now, next year is where it gets hairy. Next year is where you talk about that 2027 NFL draft, where you're talking Arch Manning, almost but a lock to go number 1 overall, right? The Manning pedigree. I think Lenore Sellers is going to put up a big year in South Carolina. He was already talked about as a potential first-rounder this draft had he come out. So I think Trinidad Chambliss is up there. I think a guy like Marcel Reed at A&M, if he has a great year, I think, you know, he'll be up for consideration. And then you go on down the board of all the other big names. Dante Moore from Oregon will presumably be in the draft next year. So it's a crowded quarterback field in 2027. Then you get into guys like DJ Lagway could come out, you know, guys like that. So if you're going to come out, this seems like the draft you should come out in. And again, I think Trinidad Chambliss, I get the love for wanting to go back for one more year at Ole Miss. It just feels like he could have made a lot of money officially coming out into this draft. But again, still officially could end up in this draft. Brad Crawford at CBS Sports, he made a prediction. He predicts that Chambliss will receive that extra year of college eligibility and return to Oxford. But again, Mel Kiper, he's you know, he had Trinidad Chambliss on his big board as the number 3 quarterback in this draft. And again, John Mateer at 6, but Mateer did not declare. So thus he will be returning to school. So the NFL draft will be in Pittsburgh, April 23rd through the 25th. But again, just kind of kicking around the idea, thought with this being such a lacking of good quarterbacks in the NFL draft, I just thought, you know, maybe Trinidad should have made the conscious just announcement to say, you know what, Ole Miss, it's a great run, ready to go take my talents to the next level. I saw some comps, some people saying maybe he's like Kyler Murray. Maybe that could translate, you know, or be a good comp for him. And then the other one, keep an eye on, some folks brought up about Garrett Nussmeier, right? Like he came into the season as one of the potential favorites for the Heisman, and everybody was expecting to have a big year at LSU. That didn't happen. But I've been told Nussmeier's getting healthy, and he accepted the invite to the Senior Bowl. That's a guy who's got the skills, and again, a son of a former quarterback, NFL quarterback as well, that if he wows at the Senior Bowl and does everything he's supposed to do, Garrett Nussmeier could climb up the board. And I don't think first round, but I think potentially second round or somewhere in that territory. So we'll see what happens. But there we go. John Mateer will be back. Trinidad Chambliss, jury, the verdict is still out. We'll see what happens with him. All right. Thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Coming up next, we will get into the latest on the happenings in the portal. That's coming your way next. All right, there's nothing like college football season. The tailgates, packed stadiums, being right there in the middle of it all, the energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever. But actually getting tickets to football and basketball games, it could be frustrating with prices jumping up at checkout, long lines, all that stuff. And that's why GameTime, they give the advantage back to the fans. It is the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few taps. You open the GameTime app, you look at an upcoming game, you'll be surprised at how fast it'll be to find good seats. The app is incredibly easy to use. You'll go from browsing to buying tickets in just minutes. You're going to love how you're able to see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what you're getting. Go take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use our code LOCKEDONCollege, get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that is code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. It is game time. All right, guys, diving back into it. Thank you for making Locked On SEC your first listen of the day. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. We've been telling you guys, you already live your team every day. Now you can take it up a level. Go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On SEC with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more. All for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonsec.supercast.com or check the link in our show notes to learn more. All right, let's dive into the news as LSU landed another big-time quarterback yesterday in the portal. Lane Kiffin signing former five-star recruit Husan Longstreet. Longstreet is a transfer from USC who decided to leave after backing up Jaden Maiava last year, and Maiava announcing he is returning for this coming season. So Longstreet said, you know what, going to go look for playing time elsewhere. Well, yes, he comes to LSU on the heels of LSU signing Elon transfer Landon Clark a few days ago, and then, of course, signing the #1 player in the portal, quarterback Sam Leavitt from Arizona State. However, Sam Leavitt's coming off a Liz Frank injury that a lot of people believe is going to keep him out throughout much of the spring. So Longstreet, an opportunity to go and kind of prove himself as the LSU guy throughout spring ball. And if he looks great and wows, who knows? Maybe it'll be a legit quarterback competition between he and Sam Leavitt into the summer. Now, we know Sam Leavitt's making upwards of $5 million a year in NIL. He absolutely projects to be the LSU starter. But again, competition breeds the best in everybody. And so we'll see what Longstreet looks like at LSU. Again, he's one injury away. We just saw it happen with Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss at Ole Miss. You know, Trinidad Chambliss, would have never known the name if Austin Simmons didn't get hurt. So who knows? We'll see what happens. But it's just interesting, the dynamic that a week ago, LSU had 0 scholarship quarterbacks on their roster. Now they have 3 in Landon Clark, Husan Longstreet, and Sam Leavitt. So arrow pointing upward there in Baton Rouge for Lane Kiffin. A few other LSU notes here. Their wide receiver, Nick Anderson, announced he is entering the portal yesterday. The timing's pretty interesting because a lot of people thought when the portal first opened that Nick Anderson would be a candidate to head elsewhere, and kind of waited and was like, all right, is he staying at LSU? A lot of people thought by this point he was going to stay at LSU, but LSU bringing 9 receivers through the portal. It makes sense. Nick Anderson maybe looked around and went, you know what? Maybe I need to go elsewhere. Of course, Anderson, his last couple of years been marred by injury. Had such an outstanding freshman year at Oklahoma a couple of years ago. We had him here on Locked On SEC coming off of that season and high expectations, but thus he will try to get healthy and likely be playing ball elsewhere. We'll keep track on where Nick Anderson ends up. One more LSU note there, stud linebacker Harold Perkins Jr. making his announcement yesterday that he declared for the NFL draft. He was a redshirt junior, could have had one more year if he wanted, but I think Perkins kind of ran his course there in Baton Rouge. He's ready to go make the leap to the next level. Had a nice season for LSU overall, but good luck to Harold Perkins, another guy we had on the show at SEC Media Days a couple of seasons ago. How about over at Ole Miss? Their starting center going to miss spring ball following surgery. Starting center Bryson Sanders recovering from offseason shoulder surgery. On Three's Ole Miss site reporting the news on Wednesday morning about Sanders. He's 6'6", 310 pounds, is the anchor on that offensive line, and was a big-time piece for that Ole Miss offense throughout this season. He redshirted his first year in 2023. Then the next year played all 13 games in 2024. Was the starting center this past year, played in all 15 games. So, look, they stepped up, paid him a pretty good price tag to keep him there in Oxford. One other note here, Ole Miss did add Oklahoma center Troy Everett in the portal this week. So now that makes sense that they will have somebody to kind of hold down that center spot until Sanders gets back. Another Ole Miss nugget, quarterback Walker Howard heading back to Oxford. He played for Lane Kiffin Ole Miss in 23 and 24 when he transferred in from LSU. Last season transferred over to Louisiana, and now he'll be heading back to Oxford. And a lot of people think that he's got aspirations of kind of getting into coaching. Maybe that might be his angle on going over there to Oxford to kind of help out as an extra coach with a clipboard as opposed to maybe trying to earn that starting job. But who knows? They've got Deuce Knight, and if Trinidad Chambliss does not get that extra year, could find himself pushing for the backup quarterback job there in Oxford. So we'll keep an eye on that. Alabama retaining a pair of key defensive starters for 2026, according to CBS Sports yesterday. Safety Keon Sabb and edge rusher Yanze Pierre, both expected to turn down. We're expected to turn down the NFL draft and head back to Alabama for another season. 6 of the 11 defensive starters from Alabama's playoff loss to Indiana have since left the team via either NFL draft or the transfer portal. LT Overton and Quay Rousseau will both need to be replaced as well. Sabb spent 2 years at Michigan before he came over to Alabama, stepped in as a starter in 2024. Battled some injuries this year, but overall played well. And then Pierre stepped up into a big spot, led the team in quarterback pressures this year after he started the season as a backup, finished the season with 52 tackles and 8 sacks. So good news there for Alabama. Mizzou, they landed a commitment from Oregon transfer cornerback Sione Laulea, Laulea. Not good with the pronunciation, but the California native rated among the top JUCO prospects in the nation for the class of 2024, played sparingly throughout that season. And look, they like his size, they like his ability there. So Eli Drinkwitz welcoming him in on the defensive side of the ball. How about Shane Beamer? Some good news yesterday as they know Lenore Sellers and Dylan Stewart and Nick Harbor are all coming back. But how about Josiah Thompson, their starting left tackle, who's been in the portal, withdrew his name from the portal, and he is heading back. 24/7 Sports had him rated the number 35 player in the class of 2024. He was the number 1 player in the state of South Carolina that year. And his 2 seasons at South Carolina, he has started all 24 games that he has played in, missed only 1 game due to injury. So big get there back for Shane Beamer and company. How about Georgia? They lose a former 4-star recruit, Dominic Kelly, cornerback. So we'll see where he ends up. But Georgia looking to add some new faces there in their secondary. Former Vanderbilt quarterback Walter Taylor is headed back to Vanderbilt once again. On 3's Pete Nakos reporting Wednesday that Taylor had decided to transfer back to Vanderbilt, where it all started. He had stops at Colorado and Ball State along the way. So see if he goes in there and pushes Jared Curtis for that starting job. Texas A&M, they got some news yesterday that Bryce Anderson will withdraw from the portal and will be returning to Texas A&M. He's a former 4-star recruit and totaled over 117 tackles and 2 interceptions in his career there in College Station. Drew some interest from some other SEC teams in the portal, but he will be heading back to Texas A&M as and to contribute to the Aggie secondary. A few other portal news notes. Texas A&M offensive lineman Jonte Newman announced yesterday he's heading to Texas. Always like that when an Aggie heads to Longhorn country and vice versa. So kind of makes that rivalry a little bit more spicy. Virginia Tech wide receiver Isaiah Spencer is going to Ole Miss. And then 2 guys leaving. OU safety Jaden Hardy is headed to Colorado, and Auburn tight end Preston Howard is headed to Maryland. All right, still more to come here on Locked On SEC, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. When we return, we'll switch gears, talk a little basketball. We were able to catch up recently with former South Carolina stud basketball player Aliyah Boston, now doing her thing, tearing it up in the WNBA. Caught up with her. We'll bring you some of that conversation coming next right here on Locked On SEC. Roll along here, and joining us right now, my goodness. I mean, the resume goes on and on and on. One of the greatest basketball players in the world, I'll say. 3-time WNBA All-Star, named to the All-WA team, All-Defensive team, was Rookie of the Year. She was a 2-time SEC Player of the Year, 4-time first-team All-SEC. The resume goes on and on. She joins us now, member of the Indiana Fever, proud South Carolina Gamecock alum. She is Aliyah Boston. Aliyah, welcome in. Thanks so much for taking some time.
Thank you for having me.
Man, you're doing some great work right now in your community. Of course, the season, just ended not too long ago, and you're working with Lily. The court is hers. You're helping young girls play and thrive in basketball. We'll get to that in a second, but I just ask, what are you doing right now? A season wrapped up. Are you getting any downtime here?
Yeah, I got about 2 weeks. I got about 2 weeks downtown. Whoa. I got about 2 weeks downtime. Took a little trip, visited my family, but really I've just been in the gym working out.
It's got to be a lot of fun. I mean, look, you'll take deep playoff runs, right? Over early exits. You'll always take that. So
every time.
I saw you got to see your old squad last week, South Carolina. They took on the other USC.
The other. Thank you.
How cool is that to see? I mean, Dawn just keeps this thing rolling.
She really does. I mean, it's exciting. I love going to watch any type of Gamecock games. I'm always going to be pro Gamecocks, and so anytime I get a chance to go see them, I'm down.
Yeah, it was good to see it, and they pulled away. And then I heard on your podcast with Candace Parker, you were talking mad trash, huh? Oh,
I was. That's my job. When I'm on the sideline, my goal is to just not get kicked out, but talk as much trash as I can. And I think I accomplished both of those.
I love that. I mean, look, you could be a former player, but you're not going to sit on your hands and
nope.
Just, yeah, you got to get into it. How are you liking doing the podcast with Candace? Post moves, really
yeah,
cool.
I love it. I think it's just been such a great opportunity, and it's been pretty fun. I literally enjoy every episode.
I think it's been so fun. It's I don't know what other way to describe it. Over the last 7 to 8 years, women's basketball on the college front and in the WNBA front has just had this. I wouldn't even call it resurgence, just surge of national excitement and attention, and more people are getting into it. Can you quantify or qualify why this is? I mean, it's quality basketball at both levels, star players now more than ever. Can you explain why this thing continues to blow up as big as it is?
I think you said it. Just the quality of basketball is really great. There's just a lot of stars in the game. And I think what's also helping is that fans are finding who they love watching play, and they actually tune in every single game, and they talk about it on social media, and they follow them to the W. And I think that's the biggest thing is when you have when you're a fan of someone, you don't just stop after they leave the collegiate level. You follow them to the W. You watch them in the pros. If they go overseas, you're watching them, you're talking about them. And I think that's honestly the biggest thing that's helped the league grow.
What was it? Take me back to your college days real quick. What was it about Dawn? Did you fell in love with her from the minute you met her?
From the jump. When I went on my visit, it was great. We built such a great relationship in the recruiting process, but when I went on my visit, it just felt like that was the right place to be. And it really was. I loved my entire career at South Carolina. I wouldn't have changed it for the world.
It's always fun when she matches up with Gino, and obviously came up just short in the championship last year. But to me, if I'm picking one matchup that I love to watch, is when she takes on Kim Mulkey. I mean, the LSU South Carolina game, that thing's got heated the last few
years. I think that's just natural conference play, especially LSU in South Carolina just being at the top in the conference. I mean, there's no better competition than that, and I seriously love it. I love watching it.
Does any of that carry? I mean, we always hear in the NFL players will make bets from their college days. I mean, if you take on Angel Reese or something, is there still trash talk going on?
No, I don't even do that. I love to just watch. I don't say anything because when we get to SC play, I'm like, okay, take a breath. Don't talk too much smack. But I seriously just love watching it.
One other question from your college days. Was there a college football game you went to back in the day you remember? And I'm thinking of one particularly, the Tennessee game. Was that the most exciting?
Yeah, that was such a great game. That was such an insane game.
Yeah, Tennessee was top 5, Hendon Hooker, all that, and of course South Carolina goes and spoils their season. So, but yeah, it's been so fun to watch. Obviously, South Carolina's been getting a lot better. A little down this year. Shane Beamer, he's going to get back on track next year, and they will get things righted. We're talking with Aliyah Boston. Talk about some of this great work you're doing in the community, because I know you're getting a chance to do a lot of stuff with helping young kids and obviously get more interest into the game. And You're working with Lily, the Court is Hers program, and working at the YMCA there in Indianapolis. Tell us what you got going on there.
Yeah, it's been great. We have the Court is Hers initiative with Lily, and I'm just so excited about it. I think it's such a great initiative, especially important for me, just being a girl in sport, being able to encourage the ones coming up, encourage them to allow them to like, listen, this is for you. You can stay in sport. You can continue to work. There's so much to dream big and set so many goals that you want to achieve.
It's really cool, and it's cool to see, you get to go to some WNBA games around the country, and it's more and more young girls that want to see it and want to get involved and have role models like yourself that they can aspire to be like and that sort of thing. What was it like seeing that fan base in Indiana? There's some games now. It's like standing room only. Like you can't even get a ticket to the games at times. So
yeah.
What was that like with this fan base kind of really embracing all the excitement? Y'all got star players left and right, but it looks like that fan base has really come to embrace you guys and make you their own.
Yeah, the fans are awesome. They show up, they're loud. They just continue to motivate us. And I feel like that's why it's important for us to motivate the young kids. Like when they come to our games and they see us and they're like, whoa, I love watching the Fever. I want to dream of being in the WNBA. And so it really all just ties into each other, which is what I love the most about just being an Indy.
It's nonstop. You're a walking double out there, and it just doesn't stop. She is Aliyah Boston. Thanks so much for the time, Aliyah.
Of course, thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On SEC. Thank you guys for tuning in, and make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On SEC so you get all of our latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. You can get Locked On SEC ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. All you got to do is head to lockedonsec.supercast.com, and you can become a member of the Everydayer Club. That's going to do it for this edition of Locked On SEC. Everybody, enjoy your day. We'll talk to you tomorrow with more news from the transfer portal right here on Locked On SEC.